All right. So, um, for those of you who watched Biden's inauguration, Amanda Gorman was the poet laureate, and she recited her poem. Let's see, what's it called? The Hill We Climb, which was awesome. But apparently, someone who didn't watch the inauguration or who didn't understand a word she said and didn't realize that it was racist decided to complain that it was available in their school, which is the Miami-Dade school district. Let's see here. So the complaint filed against Gorman's book, The Hill We Climb, named that it contains indirect hate speech and shouldn't be in schools, and that it's not educational. After review, the Bob Graham Education Center, a K-8 school in Miami Lakes, decided to retain the book, but only if it's shelved in an area reserved for middle school students. We are indeed troubled by this, Daniela Pierre, president of the Miami-Dade branch of the NAACP, told NPR on Wednesday, noting that one person's complaint prompted the change. Think about that. One person, just one person was enough to get that book removed. May I suggest that I'm pretty sure that the school library has, a Bible? Since, there might be religious studies, depending on what grade we're talking about, or just simply the fact that, apparently Bibles belong in libraries. May I suggest somebody puts out a complaint about that? Because what the hell? The form, based on what has been provided and shared with us, does not even appear to be completely filled out or express a complete thought. Of course not, because these people can't express a complete thought or be bothered to fill out a form because they're racist. And obviously the school district is as well, the school board is, because all it took was one complaint. Really? It is our collective goal to work on amending school board policy and effectuating change to ensure that it takes more than one form to remove our history and heritage. And the fact that that's all it took, that was part of the policy, was stupid to begin with. Because again, anybody could bring up a problem with any book, regardless of whether it's realistic, and get that book removed. It should be about, is this viable? Is this really something that we should look into? Or are people trolling us? So the complaint came from Miami Lakes resident Daly Salinas, who has 2 children at Bob Graham. It alleges Gorman's book would cause confusion and indoctrinate children. I'm so sorry you don't understand how poetry works. There are poems that go over my head too, but you know what? I'm not going to decide that if I don't understand something, nobody does. And how can it be confusing but yet also be racist? Pick a lane. Now, granted, this person said indirectly, but so far we haven't gotten to the part that even makes it sound indirect. So NPR reviewed the complaint and other materials after they were obtained through a records request to the school district from the Florida Freedom to Read project. Salinas did not fill out the form entirely, and in one question asked whether she had seen professional reviews of the material, she replied, "I don't need it." Which tells you she just wants to cause trouble because this is a book by a black woman. And we're going to get to the part about which black woman, because apparently only one black woman exists in all of the country. But anyway, let's see what it says. Why do I object to this material? Is not educational and has indirect hate messages. And she cites the page numbers. Did you review all the material? Yes. Why do I get the feeling that the answer is no? Are you aware of professional reviews on this material? I don't need it. What strengths do you perceive in this material? That was completely left blank. Because obviously there could be nothing good that comes out of a book written by a black woman. For what age group would you recommend this material? Not for schools. Okay. So adults then? Not for elementary schools? Pick one. Does this person think that school is just one monolith? What do you believe is the function of this material? Cause confusion and indoctrinate students. Okay. Still we haven't gotten to any specifics. In its place, what material would you recommend that would result in the same outcome? And of course, that's left blank because they obviously don't know the purpose of the material. All right. And the signature of the complaint's just a bunch of squiggly lines. So this was dated March 29th of this year. So let's see. Now, this part is absolutely hilarious, and made my comment about there's only one black woman in the entire country. The complaint about Gorman's poem doesn't mention her, incorrectly asserting that the author or publisher was Oprah Winfrey, who wrote the book's foreword. Are you fucking kidding me? During the school's review, an 8-person committee clarified that point, noting Gorman's place in history as the first National Youth Poet Laureate and the youngest poet to read at a presidential inauguration. Her book has educational value, the committee said, but it added that the vocabulary used in the poem was determined to be of value for middle school students. Salinas also filed complaints about 4 other books: The ABCs of Black History, Cuban Kids, Countries in the News, Cuba, and Love to Langston. Which, yeah, this doesn't scream that this person is a racist at all. Not at all. And just the fact that she attacked the first book and claimed it was Oprah Winfrey, she must have seen that Oprah Winfrey is a Democrat, saw her name, and immediately decided it has to be bad. And she did cite page numbers, but I wonder if the people who decided to remove the books really looked at it or just decided that they were going to come up with some bullshit reason as to why this book was going to be removed. You know, just, okay, this person has a problem with it. We reviewed it and decided that, yes, this is not a book for... But they did say it's for middle school students, so maybe they did read it. The process moved quickly. Just 1 week after Salinas filed her complaints on March 29th, the school committee decided most of the books on her list should not be seen by younger students. Salinas had requested the materials be removed from the total environment. Now again, what is it about these books? Okay, it might have language that younger students might not be familiar with. Okay, how exactly are they supposed to learn these words? Because none of these words are bad words. They would not have had her give her poem at Joe Biden's ceremony if it contained bad words. And it was shown in its entirety. There were no bleeps. There was nothing wrong with this book, so it's not obscenity. And how else are kids supposed to learn new words than see it in a book? You see it in a book, you either ask, what does this word mean? Or you look it up yourself. It sounds like that this person just decided they didn't want to do the parent thing and teach their kids anything. So they're like, you know what, let's just get rid of the book. Anyway. And of course she wants it removed from the entire environment, because if they keep moving it, when her kids get to middle school, they're going to end up reading this again. And again, she's going to have to come up with some bullshit reason as to why her kids shouldn't read it. And because she doesn't want her kids to read it, no kid should read it. Because, they think the world revolves around them and everybody thinks like them. Awesome. So the school's action is very typical for Florida right now. Reagan Miller of the Florida Freedom to Read Project told NPR, noting that many school districts are being extremely cautious in handling complaints about books. I wouldn't call this extremely cautious. That's actually a very nice way of phrasing this. I am certain that many are fearful they will be investigated or punished, Miller added, citing the current political climate in Florida and the lack of clear legal guidance. Now that I can believe, actually. So, let's talk to the author, shall we? Amanda Gorman, not Oprah Winfrey. In an interview with member station WLRN, Florida Education Commissioner Manny Diaz said the school was following policy. The process worked, he said. A parent has the right to make a complaint. Yes. But the process was put into effect, it worked when they deemed the proper placement of the books. And the student still has access to it at the right level. And no books were banned. Well, that isn't wrong. I just question the idea that her poem was too weighty for elementary school students. Because again, you don't get to go on national TV, recite your poem, and that it's not a family-friendly poem. Yeah. And plus, we don't know what this indirect racism is that this person is claiming. That's the infuriating part. Okay, it has language that maybe is too grown up. That little kids don't know the meaning of these words. Okay, fine. But just the fact that they took this seriously to begin with. Miami-Dade County Public Schools told NPR that in response to the complaint, no literature, books, or poem has been banned or removed. The school determined Gorman's poem was better suited for older students, the district said, adding that it is still available in the middle school section of the media center. And as we all know, little kids never, ever deviate from their section. Which is why this parent wanted the book completely removed, because they at least know that. Gorman is pushing back on that position, stating via Twitter, a school book ban is any action taken against a book that leaves access to a book restricted or diminished. In another message, Gorman said she is gutted that elementary schoolers no longer have access to her poem. She wrote it, she added, so that all young people could see themselves in a historical moment. And let's be clear, most of the forbidden words are by authors who have struggled for generations to get on the bookshelves, Gorman said. The majority of these censored words are by queer and non-white voices. Because of course they are. As part of its decision, the school committee ruled that the ABCs of Black History should also move to the middle school space, despite being intended for readers aged 5 and older. Yes, we wouldn't want elementary school kids to learn about, oh, I don't know, what it's like for black kids to be black. Nah, nah. Wouldn't want that. We only have white kids in our schools, right? Ah! Rio Cortez, the book's author, stated, "It only further affirms for me that there's revolutionary power in understanding history." Now, what I don't understand is why do this? I mean, do they want it so kids could not read about other cultures so they'll become as hateful and as bigoted as these adults are? That's the only conclusion I can come from this. All right, so let's get to the actual poem, shall we? So, when Gorman recited The Hill We Climb at the U.S. Capitol building, the poem was hailed as an inspirational message for a country that has long toiled to form a more perfect union. The complaint targeted Gorman's book stated that it includes indirectly hate messages, citing pages 12 and 13. In an edition that includes Winfrey's foreword, pages 12 and 13 read, We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken but simply unfinished. What the hell is even indirectly hate speech? What is a hate message? Why? Because she sees that white people are the belly of the beast that no, racism is the belly of the beast, you dumb shit. And not all white people are racist. Ugh. So that's how the article ends, but it's just so disheartening that one person can do this. All it took was one person to have that book moved. And I would love to know what vocabulary words were the problem. Because if Amanda Gorman is to believe, it had nothing to do with the vocabulary words and the person who is writing those words, which is just disgusting. I mean, why? This book should be available to the people. I mean, when books are written, librarians who are experts in this area decide what is the level that it should be at. Librarians decide this. Other people who are experts on deciding what reading level certain books are at. It's not for some random mother to decide that I don't want my kids reading this because I don't understand it. Because I see nothing wrong with what that is. I saw nothing wrong in those pages. Okay, it said belly of the beast. But again, the belly of the beast is racism. I fail to see what's wrong with that. Unless this person's saying that racism is good and that people shouldn't be proud to have survived it. I fail to see what this problem is. What is indirectly hateful about it? Anyway, I'm rambling. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.